Well, hello. My name is Barbara Mena, and I'm the facilitator for the evening. So
Okay.
I will be asking you the questions and giving you a little overview in the beginning here, just to let you know we have more than 600 members on our lists, and we put out a monthly newsletter, and we have an active website and Facebook page. So if it's okay with you, we were planning to record the session and then we would post it on our website, if that's okay.
It's absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
We always like to make sure we get the permission.
Yeah, no problem. Not a problem with me.
Okay, and I just want to thank you for appearing here tonight. We've decided that the port race was the most significant race to highlight in this month between, the primaries and the final election. So for Pierce County's future. So we're happy that you chose to accept our invitation. The format is 20 minutes each person separately with 4 questions that we provided to you ahead of time. If there's time, we will pull some questions from the audience chat, which they know to put in there as we go. So, but we do plan to stick to our 20-minute format. So just letting you know that. So then let's see, Linda, do you want to, we're going to read a little bio for you just so people have some background on you.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, hi, Don. Don Meyer is the current Port of Tacoma Commissioner in position number 4, a position he has held for the past 11 years. He earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Pacific Lutheran University and an MBA from the University of South Dakota. His former professional experience includes serving as the executive director of the Foss Waterway Development Authority, deputy director of the Port of Tacoma, and deputy director of the Office of Financial Management for the state of Washington. He currently owns a small business in Pierce County. Don believes that while the economic importance of the port remains a priority, that we must also continue to reduce emissions from port operations and facilities, protect and enhance critical fish habitat, and continue clean air programs. So welcome and thanks for coming to speak with us.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
And Laura.
Thank you. All right, well, we'll dive right in with the questions and just give you a chance here to answer those. So the first one is, how will you encourage the growth of the green economy and green jobs at the port that also support equity?
Well, thank you. Let me just start by saying thank you for taking the time to find out more about the candidates, because I think you're absolutely right. These races are critical to our future. And particularly given the role that the port plays in our community, I am very happy that you've decided to talk to us. So thank you in that regard. That's a great question. I think I would probably answer it from a couple of standpoints. First of all, I believe that fundamentally one of the biggest issues we have in the tide flats is the idea of having good land use policies that encourage green jobs and a move towards the green economy. I don't believe those policies exist today, and I would be an advocate working with the city of Tacoma to change those policies as incentives to move us in that direction. The second point I would probably emphasize is the big debate about interim regs and a variety of other things. I have been a strong advocate for biofuels. If we really want to be a part of that green economy, we have to move away from the idea that existing businesses need to be encouraged to move in the direction of low carbon, no carbon. And that's one of the things that I am an advocate for is let these businesses move into the biofuels area so that we can really take advantage of the transitioning we need to do. I would say I will also be an advocate for using port lands incentives for what I call solar and wind components. Today, we seem to bring in some of the smaller components. The bigger components for wind turbines are coming through the Columbia River system. If you look at the example in New Jersey, just Google Paulsboro Marine Terminal in southern New Jersey. I think the Port of Tacoma should be providing incentives for the manufacturing of offshore wind power facilities. And I think that's a perfect example of working with the tribes along the coast. We need to do more of that. So I'm interested in using our land base, because we do have some vacant lands in the Port of Tacoma, towards what I consider to be more of the green economy. And we need to make certain that we have a different energy sources. And that's, to me, an important component of what you're asking about. Regarding equity, that's obviously an important topic to all of us, more so than ever. I approach that by saying it has to be done at multiple levels. Some of you may not be familiar with the Maritime Blue program, the incubator program that's currently at the Urban Waters in Tacoma. It's a fairly new program, and what it's targeted for, and it's something I support, is underrepresented groups in the maritime industry. And I like the idea. It's a business focus as well as, I think, an apprenticeship focus. And I think that's important. Last thing I would comment on the equity piece is, I'm a strong advocate that not everybody needs to be a four-year college degree person. I would suggest that we need more intervention at the high school level, and that's why I'm advocating for a maritime academy at the Pierce County Skills Center at the high school level. It's all about opportunity. Equity to me is about opportunity, and that's why I'm an advocate for good paying jobs, because I think a good paying job builds quality communities. So that's probably more than you ever want to hear, but
No,
I want to be respectful of your time.
No, thank you. It's good to hear some details in what people think. All right, let me ask you the second one, which is a bit longer, but I'll pull it out. You've seen it. Given the IPCC's latest report with its dire warnings and the New England Journal of Medicine's article in September 21 on the urgency to move away from fossil fuels, and Tacoma's own goal of net zero emissions by 2050, given all that, action to reduce greenhouse gases is needed immediately. So I know it's hard for one action, but what is an action that you as a port commissioner would take to reduce greenhouse gases, not only at the port, but also in the county due to the port transportation? And if you have any idea of how it would affect, and you could quantify any of that.
Well, first of all, the fact is that the port has the same goal, Paris Accord goal, of zero carbon emissions by 2050. So just make certain that that factually that's one of the things we've adopted, just like the city of Tacoma.
Okay.
I would say the one thing that I've been proud of, and we still need to fully implement on, is reducing carbon emissions from trucks. Ocean-going vessels are important. If you look at the numbers, they contribute a lot of sources, but I would say our clean truck program, because of the impact on the community and how it, if you look at the routes of trucks through our community, it impacts a lot of individuals in a very direct way. So clean truck program. What does it really mean? How important are trucks? If you measure the source of emissions in our harbor, 18% of diesel particulate matter is coming from trucks, and greenhouse gases is 22%. So this is a significant component of greenhouse gases. So the clean truck program, we cleaned up 440 trucks. These are trucks that enter our international terminals. And the one thing that I'm an advocate for is we need to have the clean truck program implemented on all of our terminals, not just the international. We have 2 domestic terminals in Tacoma, and I'm an advocate to say I want to see all of those trucks entering any terminal in the Port of Tacoma has to have cleaner engines, clean idle certification, and that's what I'm an advocate for. So if you ask me for the one thing, it's our clean truck program fully implemented. And I'm talking on these clean trucks, this is, depending upon who you talk to, somewhere between 80 and 90% reduction in diesel particulate matter and greenhouse gas emissions. This is a big deal for our community. And so I'm proud of it. And a goal, we have a goal of trying to get 10 zero emission trucks in our trade gateway by 2025. So we're moving forward in that area too, because we can't just say, well, we've dealt with this issue, but we're still using diesel. So that's a fact of life. But I'm focused in around clean truck. And well, okay, Barbara, I'll leave it to one. But my second one would be
Okay, sure, you can name it. You can name it. What was it?
Ocean-going vessels.
Ah,
Ocean-going vessels. We
well,
need
that's a big one.
That's a huge one, and I don't have a lot of time to get into it. But if there's one thing, because you folks, the way I kind of view you folks is very clued in on lobbying. One of the lobbying things we must do, is we have to move the Biden administration to be more stringent on ocean-going vessels and the use of bunker fuel. It's just unacceptable. And we have to, and this is all regulated through the International Maritime Organization, IMO. We have written letters advocating for more stringent standards for ocean-going vessels in terms of what they're using for energy to power their vessels. But it's a huge issue.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll keep moving. Number 3 was the HR 2307, the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. It is a bill that's introduced into the US House of Representatives, and it will do 3 things: drive down America's carbon pollution and bring climate change under control. It will unleash American technology, innovation, and ingenuity, and provide cashback payments to Americans. So what are your thoughts on this bill, and would you consider endorsing it?
This bill has some of the components of 2 bills that we supported in the state legislature. One was a clean fuel standard, and the other one is the cap and trade bill that passed. And so a lot of what I see here is trying to get to those same issues. And we supported those bills, by the way. When I say we, I mean the Port of Tacoma, basically.
Right.
All commissioners supported those bills. So I think that that is a good statement. I think where probably we might have a difference of opinion would be in the dividends back to individuals. We have a serious problem, and that is that the gas tax is disappearing. It's basically declining. So how do we keep, and being in the logistics piece and the supply chain, we're worried about, well, what's the long-term impact of that, and how do we maintain our roads? So our advocacy probably would be a little bit different than the cash back to citizens. It probably would be more of an advocacy to say, wait a minute, how are you going to take care of transportation needs? And the federal government hasn't increased the gas tax, so it's left up to the states or local entities, and we're all cash strapped too. So in essence, the concept I would support, but in the distribution of the money, I probably wouldn't. I probably would take an exception to that, but conceptually, I certainly support where they're trying to go.
Yeah, the point in there being that not only will money go away for transportation, costs go up for low-income people, and so it becomes an equity issue.
Yes.
And so that, as costs go up, people would be recompensed for the increasing costs so that it doesn't affect the lower income.
I understand. And that's a worthwhile goal. We all have to be mindful of that. But maybe there might be other ways to offset that. Our concern, being in the port business, I'm just going to be an advocate for making certain, we are very much a trade gateway. We don't necessarily consume a lot here, but a lot of it is we're a trade gateway for, a lot of people used to call us the Port of Chicago, because that's where, the Ohio Valley in Chicago is a key component of, we're just a trade gateway. So we've got to make certain roads and rail work.
Right. All right, well, let me ask you the 4th one, which, what are the tribal concerns that you see with the port, how they see it and things, and how do you plan to address it?
This question, I want you to know, every interview that I've been involved with has asked this question, because I think it's a very unique situation we have with the tide flats in the Port of Tacoma, number one. Number two, just so everyone knows, I actually was on staff at the Port of Tacoma and involved in the tribal settlement agreement negotiated years ago. So I have perhaps a pretty personal involvement relative to how the tribal settlement agreement has worked over time. I would say, to answer the question, there's probably three things that I think come to my mind. First of all, the consultation process. This is a process that was set up in the tribal settlement agreement, whereby if you're proposing inside the boundaries of the Puyallup Tribal Reservation, that there would be a consultation process. And when I first became a commissioner, I was surprised there hadn't been any meetings to discuss projects. I mean, I was just flabbergasted. And I said, okay, well, we got to change that. Well, I and Commissioner Petridge actually set up meetings with the tribal council to talk about projects. And then we ran into a little problem called liquefied natural gas. That one is the second area. And so the consultation process, I would say, was pretty weak, not very well paid attention to. LNG just blew it all up. I mean, I'm just being very blunt about that. And you know, and that's still under appeal by the tribe, the one last appeal. And you know, the whole LNG is a transition fuel. We all know it. It's not the end result. In fact, I think what's interesting is the World Health Organization has advised us that the diesel particulate matter of 2.5 microns size is very disastrous to individuals' health, because those very small particles can get lodged into your lungs and have disastrous consequences. The interesting thing about bunker fuel, moving away from bunker fuel to natural gas, is basically you don't have any diesel particulate matter. But that's a controversy, okay? And we haven't gotten it solved. But the last item I would like to talk about, though, and I'm pretty proud of it, is in the meetings I've had with tribal council members, fish habitat has been a significant topic. You know, fish culturally are significant to the tribe, and they're protected by treaty rights. So this is not just something that is kind of a random conversation here. And we have pioneered a mitigation bank in the Upper Clear Creek project. That's whereby we do improvement of wetlands and fish habitat before we have to change it for a project. Meaning you don't, what we do is we improve it before we have to change it. And I like that approach. I mean, that's exactly what I think habitat mitigation should be all about. But more importantly, so that's a few acres, like 50. And now we're working on a project. If you ever drive on 509 through the tide flats, you'll see this big project at the intersection of Alexander and 509, a major excavation. We're adding a meandering and changing culverts for fish on the Wapato Creek. The other project that I'm an advocate for is I want to see us establish a intertidal fish habitat along Marine View Drive. We need to dredge the Blair Waterway to deepen it for new ships. And we want to take clean dredge spoils and create a intertidal habitat for fish. One of the problems we have in Commencement Bay is it's too deep. There aren't many places where you can basically create fish habitat that has a lot of value. And that's one of them. Total acreage somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 acres or so. That's a huge improvement, and it's valuable. And I think when you look at it, if you can get past the LNG, which, you know, from the public perception, that it's quite controversial. So it's like, well, we don't have a relationship with the tribe. I would suggest to people is just look at the port website and around fish habitat and what we've done, place of circling water and whatnot. I'm very proud of it.
Great. Well, I think we're going to have to stop there. Our time is up, so we won't have any additional questions from the chat. But thank you so much for coming and participating in our interviews. It's really important to bring more information to the public on the port issues with climate issues.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time.
No, thank you. Okay. Good night.
Bye.